Jesse, good afternoon. Welcome to the Medium Podcast.
Hey Jeff, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. You and I, we had a bit of a quick conversation about sort of how the week has been so far. Um, I know there's a new person probably joining you in terms of your girlfriend, but apart from that, how's work? How's life? How are you? I love the smile. What's been happening?
Yeah, thanks. Life's been good. This week's been a bit hectic. As
Mm,
we've kind of discussed, I started a new role at a new company recently. Tomorrow will be 4 weeks.
mm,
So yeah, from a sales perspective, this was the week of, getting my new account list, reaching out to those prospects. And, sometimes there's that stone cold silence, which, every sales rep gets reminded of again. So in that context, it's been a bit tough, but when things are a bit hard, it kind of reminds you of when you got to keep on pushing in a sense. But
mm.
yeah, personally, things have been good. Quite happy that it's nearly Friday tomorrow. But
Yeah.
I kind of say to my friends and my colleagues that it's almost we can't even complain how quick the weekends go because the weeks seem to be flying by even faster.
Mm.
So yeah, it's all in all, it's been good.
Fantastic. And had they guaranteed you commission for the first quarter since of your ramp up, or?
Yeah, so it's funny. I'm still waiting on a commission plan, but
Mm,
hopefully I can kind of chip in for Q4 2022 is the goal.
brilliant, brilliant. And obviously, a new job. Have you set yourself any sort of goals? Are you looking to sort of achieve something in the next couple of years, or?
Yeah, look, I mean, I still don't know 100% what the end goal is or
Mm,
what it kind of looks like, but it's just enjoying the journey. I think, from a sales context, only really been doing it for the last about 3.5 years.
mm,
So, at this particular time, and as I told my current employer during the interview process was, I'm just interested in just developing my skills, kind of learning from people that have been at a company for a very long time. A lot of the people that I work with
mm.
currently are, it's upwards of, 6 to 11 to 22 years in one business. So I think there's some valuable things you can take away from there. But maybe more locally, as I said, want to close a couple of deals before the end of
Oh,
2020.
you better. I can see the bag hovering on top of your head.
Exactly, yeah. But more so just kind of familiarizing myself. The thing that's very interesting is I'm selling intent data at the moment, so it's a big value sell.
Mm,
And coming from the previous role that I was in, you were more selling, functionality and that sort of stuff. Whereas, really getting in the weeds with data. As we kind of spoke about it, I am dyslexic, so innately I struggle with numbers every now and again. But
mm,
one of the big key factors of taking this job was to kind of get out of that comfort zone that I had created for myself, and break through a little bit, see what else is out there, and push. Just be uncomfortable again. I feel like personally, I grow a lot when I put myself in uncomfortable situations.
mm.
So very much in that space at the moment.
It's interesting when you mention dyslexia, of course. Do you sort of see it, don't get me wrong, Jesse, do you sort of see it sometimes affecting you, or is it very much something that you know of and it's more about how do you overcome it?
Yeah, look, I probably talk about this for hours, but I think it's
Mm,
my greatest advantage, Jeff. So, if I'm saying like it's front and present, I think the easiest way to explain to people, and just make it, very simple is, I guess what takes you 15 minutes to read, for instance, might take me 20 to 25 minutes.
oh, okay,
So
that's not too bad at all.
yeah, but as it kind of adds up after a while, it does
True,
get long and cumbersome.
true, true.
But yeah, as I said, so you know, I think from that and kind of dealing with it, there's a big resilience aspect to me. That it's one of the biggest attributes that I have, and there's some contexts where it's the best and the worst thing about me is like sometimes I just don't know when to give up or when
Yeah,
to
yeah.
actually just kind of chill out.
You go, you know what?
Um,
I think I'll stop it now.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, look, as I said, I kind of look at it as the advantage that I've got over
Mm,
everybody. And it's just forged a different work ethic, a different way of thinking about things. Although there's a balance between working hard and working smart, I think I've had to really delve into both sides of those aspects.
interesting.
So yeah, I love it. It's as I said to you, one of the biggest things of why this was appealing in the way that you run this podcast is, we can just jump on here and have a chat. So,
Yeah,
I
there's
hope.
no financial arrangement, by the way, right? Or
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about that after. But yeah, I just hope that
mm,
if somebody out there one day comes across this, there's some synergies, and I've definitely had some dark days in that regard where it's sometimes hard to carry on doing the things that you're doing because it just feels like an absolute struggle. But yeah,
because of the dyslexia, Jesse, or was
yeah.
it a culmination, or primarily
No,
that?
yeah, exactly. I
Mm,
often think back to a time where I was in my second year of uni,
mm,
and had a bit of a chip on my shoulder in the sense that when I finished high school, I studied law, and the reason why I did that is essentially I just said to myself, through my whole life, I was pretty bad. I was very lucky that I had parents that were well invested in, trying to make me the best version of myself as possible.
mm.
But we sat in consultations with therapists and doctors, and I was never going to finish high school. I was that kid. So upon finishing
Wow.
high, yeah, yeah. So upon finishing high school, I just thought to myself that if I can go and study a law degree, which is obviously reading and written,
I know. I
reading and
was just about
writing
to say
based.
that. That's all words.
Yeah, yeah. My mentality is, if I could do that, I could do whatever I put my mind to.
Mm,
Hindsight's always a beautiful thing, and what I'm doing now, maybe I wish I studied business. But that 5 years and kind of where I was going with that story was, it was one day in my second year where, I just kind of gave up the one day. I was studying for a criminal law exam, which is like,
mm.
trying to memorize nearly 30 to 40 cases,
Oh,
as well
walk in the
as like
park.
yeah, exactly. As well as, legislation and all that stuff. And I still remember having a deep conversation with my mom where I was like, this is it. I can't do this anymore. It's killing me.
Mm,
Um, and I think it's a good example in my life of where you hit that boundary and you decide if you're going to push through it or if you're not going to push through it. And I think as I was saying earlier on, putting yourself and making yourself uncomfortable, at least for me personally, it's the best thing that I can do. So that whole 5 years of being uncomfortable, and there was definitely days I still remember one of my law lecturers pulled me in after a test and he was like, "Why are you doing this?" And I told that guy in that particular meeting, "I'll see you at graduation." So, it all kind of
I like
comes.
that confidence.
Yeah, it's sometimes you have to back yourself if nobody else is going to.
And what was the driver, Jesse? Like, by all means, were you trying to prove to yourself that you could do it? Was a motivation trying to go, you know what, screw you, my 5-year-old friend who can't say I can do this. What was sort of the driver to you wanting to do this?
Yeah, it's a good question, Jeff. I'd say in my younger years, I'm only 28 at the moment. Um, but when I was a lot younger, it was mainly proving people wrong. Which, as you kind of go on and as you learn things and you do get older and you spend a bit more time on the earth, you realize that you can't do things because of other people. You've ultimately got to do them for yourself. So, as I said, from my background, I'd say, from if we're just talking from an educational standpoint, no one's failed as much as I have. No one's probably struggled as much as I have
Mm,
in terms of like the day-to-day stuff. But it was always those people that said that I couldn't was the
sort of
fuel.
the
That
driver,
ex
yeah.
exactly that was the fuel. But as I kind of got to the last couple of years, and there's definitely been people that said that I couldn't, but there's been more so people that I met along my journey, and I'm a big believer, and I love the idea of mentorship, and I
Mm,
think I'm very fortunate in my life that I've met a lot of really interesting and intriguing people that have helped me along the way. So there was definitely a shift of trying to prove people wrong and just doing it for myself because it's for me, it's not for anybody else. Those people when they go to bed, they're not thinking about if I'm going to finish my degree or if
no,
I'm
they
going to
couldn't
pass
care
this
less.
test. Exactly. And you're young and you're naive and you got a bit of an
Hey, but it
attitude.
worked.
Exactly, but I'd say the key to me is I started looking at all the people that have helped me along my journey,
Mm,
and they were the people that I wanted to prove right. So it moved from the proving people wrong to proving the people that believed in me
very
right.
much the supporters in your life, eh?
Exactly, yeah.
Wow. So getting back to that moment where you went to your mum, hey, mum, I can't do that. And you mentioned that either you give up or you keep going, right? What tilted you to go, you know what? I'm going to keep going. Was there some little catalyst? Was it like a little spark in your head that goes, I'm going to get it done?
Yeah, that particular day, I think it was, it was in 2014. I still kind of remember exactly where it was, the day, tears in
Mm,
my eyes, all that sort of stuff. But I looked at it and, my mom's always been a massive source of, or she's just always been there. She's always just been really valuable in those moments, but rarely stern when she needs to be. And she heard me out. And it's maybe a question we'll dive into a little bit later on about great pieces of advice that you've been given. But
mm,
she just told me, and I thought about it for the rest of the day. Like I just didn't even do anything. I went on a walk, and that was it. But she was just like, sometimes you got to stop and look back and see where you are at now and how far you'd come. And at that particular stage, I was 2.5 years in of a 5-year degree. Um, and she just said, personally, I think you would be more upset with yourself if you had to stop now, 2.5 years in, than if you had to keep on going. So there is times in life that I do believe that if it is getting intense, if it is getting difficult, sometimes you've got to just let go for a little bit, not forever
mate, your
or
mum's fantastic.
yeah. So just that day, I actually had to, for the first time in my life, actually just be like, okay, there's that stupid saying that if you have to judge a fish on how it climbs a tree, it will always think that it's useless, sort of thing. And, thinking back on that day, I just kind of looked, high school, 2 years in now, gotta keep going, just take a bit of a break today. And then literally the
Mm,
next day, woke up and just never looked
boom.
back after that.
Wow, that's amazing. And, you know, to share a bit more about dyslexia, it'd be great to sort of get a definition of what is dyslexia for the audience out there, and what actually causes it. Is it a sort of a root issue or whatnot? Or
Yeah, look, it definitely it comes in different forms, but I'd say it's mainly either numbers based or words and letters, for instance.
mm,
And unfortunately, I've got both ends of the spectrum. So, thinking about at the end of high school, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, accountant,
I had
or
no
or
idea, by
what.
the way. I thought I wanted to be prime minister, by the way, but
I feel
we'll see
like
how we go.
everybody,
We'll see
yeah, I
how we
feel
go.
like, yeah. But no, I kind of looked at it and I was like, I'm not good at numbers, I don't like blood, and all
Mm,
that sort of stuff. And um, so sorry, kind of to tie it back in there. So for myself, it's on both sides, but people can either struggle with the numbers side or the reading and writing side. From a genetic standpoint, at least in my own family, my
mm,
dad's dyslexic, so it skips a generation. So my dad's got a younger brother, so my dad has it, younger brother doesn't, my brother doesn't have it, but I have it. So it kind of goes in phases
wow.
type of thing, at least on my side. But I probably wish I had a better definition of it. But for me personally, there's still days where I'll type something in an email or on Word, and not even the computer knows what I'm trying to spell out. And there's even maybe times that I'm adding things up and it doesn't come right. So again, like maybe speaking to the work ethic a little bit, it's always just constantly having that time and energy to kind of check yourself, but also
And
just
like I
like
said, it adds up. Like I said,
yeah, so that's where I was
got
going
it,
with
got it.
that
Makes
side of
sense.
things. But that's more so for me. I think with other people, you know, it is something that you can progress through definitely if you're fortunate like me, where you can go to the right people and they can help you out. But unfortunately, one of the saddest things and I think it was maybe a bit of a generational thing, is when people were dyslexic, maybe 20, 30 years ago, you were the naughty kid that didn't
Yeah,
concentrate in
you would have just
class,
sort
right?
of gone by, and no one would have known.
Exactly, and those people, you know, people in that kind of that sphere, you know, they would have kind of grown up thinking that, yeah, maybe I am dumb or something like that. I'm not like everybody else. And
Mm,
you know, I was really lucky. I went to a really good neurologist when I was younger that I used to work with. And, you know, he used to just kind of tell me, he's like, Jesse, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, but everybody's brain goes that way, whereas yours goes the other way when you kind of think and process things about it. So, you know,
ah,
definitely one of the people that I'll always look to as, you know, one of those people that I wanted to prove right. But I can't, as I said, it's the thing that I have on everybody else is that I look at things a bit differently, or I feel things a little bit
mm.
differently to how everybody else kind of sees and processes things.
Interesting, Jesse. And do you sometimes carry that with you in life, or are you very much sort of going through life and just going, you know what, I have it, it is what it is,
Yeah.
BAU? Or does it
Yeah.
sometimes come up to you where you need to sort of either share it or it hits you? I suppose it does hit you sometimes if you were
Mm.
to write an email and all of a sudden you don't know, you got no idea what it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. Look,
Ah,
it is something that you're kind of on it's a day-to-day grind. You know, it's very much a part of my
mm,
life and who I am. And I would say that I make it I bring it up to people that I feel should know it. So obviously my employers and you know,
mm.
if we have to exchange a couple of texts every now and again, you'd probably see a couple of
Oh, mate,
spelling
it's
mistakes.
flawless, flawless.
Exactly. But yeah, in that context, it is something that I do try and make it aware in a professional setting. But from a personal side, and mate, I've definitely been at a table where, you know, someone says the odd comment about it jokingly, and I laugh at those things because, you know, I'm definitely not big enough that I can't look at the bright side or funny things that happen in that context. You know, you can't really take things too seriously or literally
Good
all the
on you.
time. Otherwise, you know,
Mm,
it
yeah.
doesn't make you happy.
No, and it's very much shaped you in a very positive way.
Yeah.
I suppose you just need to find a pre-sales or solutions consultant who do all the work for you, right? And
Yeah, exactly. It used to be like that at my old job, but luckily, you know, kind of going back to that, getting out of the shell and trying new things. And in this
yeah,
role, I'm very much doing the demo and the selling, which, you know, from a
mm,
sales context, I love that you control the whole sales cycle more so
yeah.
than having to rely on too many other stakeholders. But yeah, it's just challenging yourself all the time, I guess.